Hello, it is Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor with Life Anew, where your new life awaits. And I'm in a new setting, I know, because I wanted to come down by the water. And we live by water in Pittsburgh and outskirts of Pittsburgh. It's ugly water today because of all this flooding. It's brown and murky and yeah, but it's still water and it still sounds beautiful. And it's still, even with the brown, it looks beautiful. So go figure. Anyway, I am here today because I want to talk about trauma. Go figure. She always talks about trauma because she loves talking about trauma. My husband now calls me the trauma responder. He has been a first responder. He's been in all aspects of public safety. So he calls me the trauma responder because I kind of get into it. I wanted to talk today because I'm getting some interesting factoids from the people that I am working with, and that is that numbers are way up as far as PTSD goes. If I was to diagnose, I use the PCL-5. I don't know if you're familiar. And the score, the cutoff score for the PCL-5 is about a 31. The people that I'm giving this PCL-5 are like averaging between like 59 and 72, as high as 72. And the score goes up to 80. So 80 is the, I believe, the highest that you can potentially get when you take this survey. And what does that mean? 31 is where we figure out, hey, you are probably more than likely suffering with some post-traumatic stress. And as I always say at the beginning of my video, stress kills. And we want to figure out a way to kill stress. So if I have these high numbers, how about I'll give you a comparison, something to kind of give you a window of understanding. For the military coming back from war, there was a survey conducted, and I am so sorry to the people who conducted this survey, but they did 129 individuals who came back from deployment. And of those people, the average was 48.5. So remember I told you my averages are like 59 to 72. 48.5 or 48.7 was their average for military individuals, people who are coming back from war, coming back from watching the most horrendous travesties that could possibly occur to any human being. And they're coming back at 48, averaging around 48 something, right? And we're living these daily lives, and I'm dealing with people who have dealt with trauma, most of them childhood trauma of some sort. So what I'm saying is my non-scientific survey is creating a potential for childhood trauma impacting higher than going to war or equivalent to. I don't want to make that a fact. I'm just saying based upon my non-scientific survey of the people that I am working with. And it is sad, it is disheartening, it is frightening, because these are people who are dealing with trauma. When I'm talking about trauma, I'm talking about abuse, I'm talking about neglect, I'm talking about those type things. Childhood sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect, which falls into that whole mental realm, that thing that says you don't matter, you're not important. And these are the adults that are walking around. I always give my clients the example, my clients who suffer with some form of post-traumatic stress or trauma of some sort. There is a commercial. It is for gummy bears, and it is a bunch of kids sitting in a boardroom in suits, but they still have their little baby voices. And that's what I see when I'm dealing with individuals who have trauma, because you freeze at that place. You freeze at that moment in time when you were violated. And when I'm talking about violating, I'm talking about physically violated, mentally violated, or sexually violated. When you were violated, you freeze at that point, and that becomes your trigger. And that is why we have such volatile individuals walking around right now. I am willing to bet a paycheck it has something to do with COVID. I remember when we were in COVID, and I was on a panel with Dr. Kathy Sigmund, and she said something so good. We were like, oh my goodness, this is the worst case of post-traumatic stress ever. And she said, this cannot be post-traumatic stress because we're not out of it. So we did a daily walk through stress and trauma and watching the individuals die, experiencing people die in our families, experiencing people die that we knew, and just people suffering and struggling, and people who now have long COVID, who have things that they can't get rid of because of COVID. Even though we're calling this post-COVID, yes, I'm using air quotes, post-COVID, because we're just figuring out that we're going to just live with it. The reality is we went through that corporate trauma together. So my wondering becomes, are these numbers so high because we experienced such a major corporate trauma that people did not really deal with? People did not really go to counseling. People did not really you didn't have access. There's so many things that are whirling when I think about that. But my goal is to help you kill stress, because stress kills. And so I want to leave you with a couple things to do. One, of course, you know, I'm always going to call on bubbles. Anybody who has followed me knows I say get yourself to the nearest Dollar Tree, dollar plus, $1.25, $1.50 tree, $5 tree. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, it's something. But get yourself there. Get you some good bubbles, because they give life. They actually help you regulate your nervous system. That whole blowing and breathing, that is part of regulating your nervous system. Deep breathing. So I'm using bubbles, but I really want you to do breathing techniques. I really want you to do mindfulness techniques, and bubbles incorporates all of that. So blowing the bubbles is breathing. Watching the bubble dissipate is mindfulness. It's just a wonderful experience. And then you get to tap into your child. So if that inner child within you, if your trauma occurred in childhood, that is really something that's good for you, because playing and creativity and all of that stuff, allowing yourself to be a kid again, it also helps it acts. Why can't I speak? My God, it acts as a healer to some of those spaces, because you're allowing that child to live. So bubbles covers all of those bases. And of course, I always talk about breathing, 5-7-8 breathing, 5-5-5 box breathing, PMR, progressive muscle relaxation, that whole breathing technique that goes along with relaxing and tensing your muscles. And those are things that I definitely advocate. I implore everybody use those techniques, because we are in a state of almost corporate trauma. It feels like the numbers are so high, and we have to kill stress, because it will kill us, because stress kills. So again, I am Fabian Williams, marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor, just kind of ranting and raving about fighting trauma at all costs. If you need help in that arena, please feel free to reach out. I'm at www.lifeanew.com, and that is LIFEANU. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share. We need to get the word out that trauma will not kill us. We will not allow it. We can manage stress. We can take over and not let this take authority, because God is in control, which means we are in control. So have a blessed and beautiful day.